my guests tonight on the program. I have Dr. Catch Ononuju, an economist and a member of the PDP, and Honorable Cletus Obun, a former lawmaker and a member of the APC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Let me begin with you, Honorable Cletus Obun. The PDP is asking that the president should resign, that there is a huge cover-up of corruption allegations against members of your party. How would you react to some of these, considering also the background that we have laid over some of the issues about corruption, NSITF, NDDC, NEDC, EFCC, and the list goes on?
I think that itself is a contradiction. And the PDP has been known for this kind of incurable contradiction in both in its actions and comments. I don't want to get partisan on the issue of corruption, because whoever you are calling APC or PDP is a crossover, a crossbreed of both. And Nigeria is at the crossroads of corruption trying to crush the entire country. And people are busy talking about APC and President Buhari to resign. I think it's the most irresponsible thing to do or to say at this point. Because all that you are talking about are the same group of people moving from one place to the other, political migrants, beginning to change coats and colors, and then we begin to mistake it. So you fold an umbrella, it becomes a walking stick. How can a folded umbrella become a walking stick? I do think then that what the APC and PDP should be doing now is how to get a permanent solution to the Nigerian crisis of corruption. If corruption is covered up, how did you get to know that a sitting acting chairman of EFCC is on trial? How do you get to know that sitting members of the National Assembly are in prison? How do you get to know that former APC governors are in prison today? How did you get to know that NDDC is in crisis on corruption charges? How did you get to know that the Northeast Development Commission is today talking about 1 billion naira? I raised it yesterday in another platform. And today we are busy talking about NSITF, the National Social Insurance Trust Fund. All these are brought to the fore and are before the security agency and investigative agencies of ICPC, EFCC, NFIU. All those agencies are at work. The police are at work. The DSS are at work, bringing out reports and turning them out. Before today, I mean, what we are talking about today would be a joke if you look at Dasuki Gate. If you look at Dasuki Gate, we don't want to go back there. These are some of the rots that we are trying to clear, and people, rather than look at it, how to solve it, are giving labels of PDP, APC. We are running away from the issue. The major issue is that Nigeria is in crisis, and we need honest men to come out, because out of this corruption, there are death tolls. Blood is flowing all over the country because people under Dasuki Gate did what they did, such that even to buy arms for our soldiers are being slaughtered, and people are making it look like a melodrama on social media. These are things that should concern us, and I think that our laws should be such that those who create this crisis for our country and the embarrassment and pain to our citizens should be brought to a book, and death sentences should not be too much for those who sabotage our economy, sabotage our security, and sabotage our politics, all for their own personal gains, and turn around to, to give labels and call on Buhari to resign. That is irresponsible. That is unacceptable. That is induced amnesia. It means we don't know where we are going to, and we don't know what has happened to us. That is not correct, and I don't think that that is the way to go. Let's deal with it as a holistic Nigerian crisis that we must deal with, and not APC, PDP. Because what we are suffering today, most of those who are calling APC, we are indeed a PDP product. Is Obaseki today not a PDP candidate? He started as APC and became PDP. So when you want to classify him today, how do you classify him if he has to be dealt with or has to be investigated? Will you say APC did that, or will you say PDP?
Dr. Ononuju, let me bring you into the conversation now. You heard what your friend there, Honorable Cletus, has said tonight, that it's not a party matter. But let's look at the contemporary issues under this government. Is it right for your party to say that this government is covering up corruption and ask for the president's resignation? Is that right?
Yes, it's very correct. We had Goodluck Jonathan administration. Today we have Muhammadu Buhari administration. Borrowing the word of the former grass cutter, he said, what presidency? So what we are saying is this particular presidency doesn't seem to exist as a steering wheel for guiding the statecraft. We cannot see Buhari. He's missing in action. That's why you've seen the hush mommy at Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs saying that she spent 850 billion during the time of the lockdown, feeding school children who nobody can say anybody got money from. That's why we are talking about the Northeast Development Program, and we hear people spend over 100 billion and we don't have any talk about it. That's why you're looking at the NNPC. What we are saying is there is a competition by members of the current administration caused by the non-availability of President Buhari active as president of Nigeria. And because of that,
if I may cut in, Dr. Catch, I do not want to cut in, but I'm forced to cut in because of some of the statement that you've made. When we saw President Buhari go to Mali and returned, we saw him on video. You saw the video earlier on. So when you said that the non-availability of the president, a lot of Nigerians will be wondering, what exactly do you mean by that?
I mean it by, yes, he could be physically available to go to Mali and come back, but he's not available there as president of Nigeria. If he's there, why all these anomalies all over the place? Look, you could have a house, and that house could not be a home. It only becomes a home if people live inside it. So, if President Buhari that we see on pictures is not available to act, that's the word, to act as president of Nigeria, then there's a deceit going on. You're showing us pictures of a man. How come he's not acting as president? Because he's not acting, that's why you see the house is on fire. That's why you see there is an implosion in the APC. That is why you see there is a competition for people to outperform each other in corruption. Look at the NNPC. Can you imagine? We're just talking about smaller aspects of the agencies of government. Imagine what will happen if we get to the NNPC. Imagine what will happen if we go to that Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs where you have the new hush mommy. What will we do if you go to agencies like the Northeast Development Corporation agency? What are we going to do? This is actually what we're saying. In a lot of departments of government, looting is occurring every day, and there is nobody at the top to regulate behavior. That's why we said, yes, a house is not a home if people don't live inside it. So you cannot tell me Buhari exists as an active president where he does not act to actually steer the ship of state. We can't see him there. All we can see are pictures. Those pictures don't mean nothing to us if Buhari, sitting on as president, acts to guide the affairs of the Nigerian state.
Let me bring back Honorable.
And that's why we believe that
Let me bring back Honorable Cletus Obun. Honorable Cletus Obun, I'll allow you to react to what you said. But on this premise also, this government is known as a government that wants to fight corruption. At least that is what this government's agenda is all about. Part of the 3-point agenda before 2015. So perhaps, do you think that this government is really fighting corruption? And react to what Dr. Onanuju also said.
Well, let me say this about this government. And each time we have to deal with this, Nigerians must not forget that it could have been worse. Our present situation could have been worse. The institutional failures of the Nigerian state are not a party or partisan issue. They are systemic issues. And this government was fully aware of it when it came into power in 2015. And, of course, strengthening of those institutions became the paramount and top priority of the government. So that, for instance, the public property recovery authorities under the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, NFIU, the ICPC, the EFCC, the DSS, and all other such investigation agencies under this government have been so strengthened to the point that now it is no longer a family affair to find that this president, unless you are expecting that President Buhari should carry a machete, a stick, and a gun to shoot down everybody that appears to be in corruption. Nobody, no other example can be further and confirmation of Buhari's and APC's fight against corruption, that the fact that its own principal officers and government officials have been the first victims and have never been spared in the fight against corruption. And like he said, the grass cutter, the man you call the grass cutter, which is the secretary of government, that was the first example. It was not up to 2 years in government, and this president didn't bother once there was an outcry and there was an outlet. One of the things we should also find out is what is the response of the citizenry to the issues of corruption. Even the whistleblower policy became more prominent under this regime, and so much recoveries and revelations have been made under the whistleblower policy of this government. The economic team have been strengthened even by people that were in Jonathan's government. Only recently you find out that Adesina, for example, went to African Development Bank on the sponsorship of this government. You also find that even the former Minister of Finance had to be sponsored by this government even when it came. People like the former CBN governor from Anambra State became a member of this economic team.
Honorable Obun, let's be equitable with the conversation. Now, let me allow Dr. Catch Ononuju. In about 40 or 50 seconds, Dr. Catch Ononuju, I'd like you to react to what he has said about the fight of corruption under this government.
Well, the fight of this government against corruption has been based primarily on rhetorics. The real thing on the floor, just as I'm telling you, we are talking about small NDDC. What about the new hush mummy at Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs? Spending 850 billion. 850 billion, she says, feeding children who were supposed to be at home during lockdown. Go and ask anybody you know, Sheun, in your house, how many of the poor people you know in your village got 10 naira from that 850 billion? We don't know. We're hearing about how our oil was sold in China for $2.5 billion and money shared among members of the government. What you're talking about, those people who now migrated, Okonji Iweala and the man at the African Development Bank, those are products of the PDP's headhunting strategy of finding the best. Who can you talk about in this current government? Nothing. Everybody in this government are competing to outdo each other in terms of corruption. This is what we're saying. A house is not a home if nobody lives inside it. I cannot say President Buhari exists as Nigerian president if he's not seen to be acting to actually steer properly the ship of state. That's why the PDP say, resign, instead of people stealing and balkanizing our commonwealth in your name. Don't just exist there as a referee inside the field and there is no whistle in your hand. That way, it's just a mess in a football team. Please, President Buhari, leave, walk away, and let us take purpose to sort our country well.
Yeah, we have to close the program now because we're out of time. But he raised a very strong allegations about the issues of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Those are the words of Dr. Ononuju. But if you have 5 seconds, because we need to close now, if you have 5 seconds, Honorable Obun, if you want to react to it, because now that you have a member of your party being alleged to have on that kind of allegations, 5 seconds for you, please, to react to that.
I want to say this, it is nothing but mere allegation. But like I said, the fact that it is even in the front burner shows that this government does not cover corruption. The fact that it is within discussion in the public space is a confirmation that this government does not tolerate even its own children inside the house. Therefore, the government, and especially Buhari, must be shown not to be sparing of anybody found to be corrupt, no matter the gap.
We have to leave it at that, Honorable Cletus Obun.
That is one.
Yeah, I must sincerely thank both of you for coming tonight. Dr. Catch Ononuju and Honorable Cletus Obun, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on tonight.